And I'll begin with a little illustration. Have you ever walked into a room where there was a bad odor? I know you have. We've all experienced that. But the longer you stayed in that room, the less you noticed that the odor bothered you. Until finally, you did not smell it at all. Somebody would ask you who just walked in, don't you smell this odor? And you say, not anymore. Your nose has made an adjustment. Let us imagine that you are in such a room, and then I move you to another room where the odor is even far more offensive than it was in the first room. Again, the same process will be repeated. You'll be at first very bothered, but since your nose has already adjusted to the first odor, it will not be long until you find yourself tolerating this new odor. Again, let me say, I move you to another room. This time, the odor is far worse than the first and the second put together. But again, your nose has already adjusted to the first two, and it will not be long until it adjusts to this third, far more offensive odor. If you walk into this third room, fresh out of the outside air, you will run right back out because you would say, I can't stand the smell in this room. But you see, as you adjust yourself down to this third room, your nose becomes accustomed to the odor, and it doesn't bother you anymore. Now, this imaginary experiment illustrates our next lie that the devil tells with great success. Here it is. Bad company is not as bad as being unpopular. Bad company is not as bad as being unpopular. No matter how many times you hear this sermon preached, it seems it goes in one ear and right out the other. If there's one lie that is so popular, it seems like no one pays any attention to what God has to say on this issue. Everyone just seems to go right ahead and believe the lie of the devil, and that is, bad company is not as bad as being unpopular. Now, the devil in the Bible is portrayed as the tempter. That is, he seeks to draw men away from God and draw men into that which God forbids. We call this sin. But Satan directly, I feel like, does not tempt most of us, and I have talked about this in prior broadcasts. He can only be one place at one time, dealing with one person at that time. So I doubt if any of us are really directly tempted by Satan, though we use that term. But there are plenty of evil spirits and demons around to satisfy him and get us to be tempted just as he would do if he could do it himself. But normally what Satan does is he gets people to do his tempting work for him. We live in a world where minds of people work upon the minds of other people. Where the battle that takes place is the battle of thoughts. Where people themselves become the biggest influence on other people. That's just the nature of being human beings living in this world, unless you live as a hermit out in the middle of the woods. People will do the normal influencing of other people. And this is the one thing that makes the world such a dangerous place for Christians to live in. You're going to come in contact with the thoughts and the ways of other people. Their expressions, their demands, their feelings, their viewpoints, their ideas, their wants, their wishes. These things all get expressed in print, on the news, on television, in movies. I mean, we are bombarded with what other people think about almost everything. Are they right? Are they wrong? These are decisions all of us must make. And so the mindset of the world is broad, but the mindset of the world is constantly flooding us with its views, with its conclusions, with its ideas, with its beliefs. And by the way, most of these are normally not the same as God's. That is, they are against what God stands for. So we have a tremendous amount of influence, information feeding into our mind, influencing our thoughts, that is really anti-God. In John 17:14 through 18, Jesus said, I have given my people, my disciples, my followers, your word, Father, and the world hates them. Implying the world's going to hate the word too. That's why I hate them. Because they're not of the world. But I'm not of the world either. I pray not that you would take them out of the world, but that you would keep them safe from the evil. Now you could say the evil one, or the evil of the world's people, or the evil of the world culture. And I believe you would be correct in all those things. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, now I send them into the world. And so we are in the world. We are not to run away from it. We're forced to live in it. We're forced to work in it. But at the same time, we are not to be a part of it. That is, to allow it to place us in its mold, to take us away from what we believe to be correct according to what Jesus Christ has taught us in the Word. Jesus makes it clear that his followers will not be popular. Now remember what the saying of the devil is? Bad company is not as bad as not being popular. Being unpopular is the worst thing in the world that can happen to you, says Satan. Jesus says, I'm telling you right now, you be a follower of me, and you are not going to be popular. So you have to get that out of your mind. It's not impossible for you to be popular with the world. You can be popular with God's people. You can be popular with God, but you can't be popular with the world, because the world is anti-Christ, anti-his commandments, anti-his way, anti-his authority. And thus, if the world finds Christ unpopular because of what he is and what he's like, he's going to find us unpopular because we're going to be just like Jesus. Now, it should not upset you to find that you are ostracized at the office. It should not bother you if you find that people don't invite you to certain parties and certain functions and certain outings. They don't want you. Why? Because of your close association to the likeness of Jesus Christ. Christ makes that very clear. So it shouldn't sadden you if somebody doesn't invite you to their worldly function because you wouldn't fit in. And so I think we have to get accustomed to this. And if you lose their admiration and you lose their friendship and you lose popularity with them, then you have lost nothing really worthwhile as far as the Bible says. To really be more specific, Christians are commanded to make bad company totally off limits. Scripture takes the view that you're better off to be alone, to be a loner, than to be in bad company. Now that's the commandment of Scripture. That's the viewpoint of Scripture. That's the conclusion of Scripture. And so while walking with Christ in this world, you're going to find, I believe a lot of times, you're going to end up being a loner. And that's why it's good to have Christian fellowship. The world is not really going to beat a path to your door. They are going to make you a loner. In a real sense, that's the only way that you can guarantee your own spiritual safety from the influence of bad companions. Stay away from them. Psalms 1:1, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. Now here is where our 3-room odor experiment, I think, is to be applied, to be observed. Bad companions come in three odors, if I can use it that way, or three categories, three levels of smell, three levels of stink. How you want to do it? Each one progressively worse. First you have the ungodly, the room where the ungodly gather. Then there's the room where the sinners gather. And then there's, last of all, and the worst of all, the room where the scornful gather. Now, before describing the differences between these three, there's a point that I think I ought to make. If a fellow Christian, if a person professing to be a Christian, falls under the influence of a bad companion, they become popular with the world, sacrificing their Christian stand, their Christian moral, their Christian conduct, their Christian ways, then they are just as dangerous as a bad companion of the world. A backslidden Christian is no fit companion for a person who wants to walk with the Lord. The true unsaved of the world are unfit companionship, and the backslidden Christian is also unfit companionship material. You have to put them both in the same category, because now both of them are going the same direction in the world, and the Christian who was strong for the Lord has now compromised and is now popular in the world, but at the same time that makes him, of course, off limits to you. Romans 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them would be the other brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses in the church, contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid those people. 1 Corinthians 5:11. I have written unto you not to keep company. If any man is called a brother, be a fornicator, or covetous, or an adulterer, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such a one don't even go out and eat. Ephesians 5:11. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. If there is a person in the church who is doing works of darkness, have no fellowship with them, rather reprove them, for now they have sacrificed and compromised themselves. Proverbs 14:7. You go from the presence of a foolish man as soon as you perceive not in him the lips of knowledge. Listen, and you can pretty well find out soon, within a matter of minutes, whether or not a person is going to be fit companionship for you. Just listen to him talk. And as soon as you find out and you perceive and you discern, hey, this person is not concerned about walking in the ways of God, this person is not concerned about keeping the commandments of Christ, this person is not concerned about pleasing the Lord, at that point, it says you go from their presence, cut off fellowship. Now, back to our three odious groups. Number one, the ungodly. A term that I think a lot of people get confused here. It just means non-godly. Not only ungodly, but non-godly. And all that they talk about, they don't talk about God. That kind of puts them in this category. That's what makes them rather dangerous. They just don't talk about God. They don't have no fear of God, they express. They do not try to please God. They speak of no satisfaction with God. They speak of having no pleasure with godly things. I mean, it's just an off-limit subject. Their attitude is, we can get along real good if you just don't talk about God. We'd be better off in our relationship together with each other if you just forget to talk about God. Let's put God on the back shelf while we're together, and we'll talk about other things of our own choosing. Let's just not get on the subject of God. There's some folks say, I'm not going to discuss politics with anybody. Well, there are a group called the ungodly and say, I'm not going to discuss God with anybody. Now, you see, that's what we're talking about here, ungodly. Let's just forget about Him. Let's get him off our minds. Let's not let him find a way into our conversation. Let's not be concerned about what he has to say on any subject, what he wills or does not will. Let's just be non-godly. Let's just don't talk about it. And that's the way we can have fellowship. We can get along real good if we just don't get on the subject of religion and God. Stay off of it. Well, there's folks like that don't want to talk about the Lord. That puts them in a group that stinks. For you now. Now the second group, this group has a little bit stronger odor, you see. This is the seed of the scornful, the sinners. The scornful is the third group. The sinners are mentioned as the second group. Now we have moved from those people who just say, let's don't talk about God, to people who are actively engaged in acts of sin. They are actually doing what you know is the breaking of one or two or three or more commandments. These are rebellious people. Invite you to do things that are absolutely forbidden. Let's go out and have an affair. That's forbidden. But these people will suggest that you both get involved in something that is against the will of God, and you know it. To this group, sin is pleasant. Sin is fun. Sin is in. And it will be the topic of their conversation, the topic of their jokes. It'll be the goal of their life. This is what they're going to dwell on when they talk to you. And these people will be planning and plotting all kinds of sinful events. Looking forward to them. Parties and so forth will be of the sinful nature. And they'll be restless until the sin they want to commit is carried out. Sin will be ever on their mind. It'll be ever on their lips. And if you're going to go with them, you're going to talk and walk in a sinful atmosphere. Proverbs 4 through 16. Enter not into the path of the wicked, the sinful, the evildoers. Do not even get in the way of these people. Avoid their path. Pass by it. Turn from it. Run away from it. For these kind of people do not even sleep, except first of all they have in their imagination done mischief, plotted and planned the next day's sinful event. And their sleep is taken away. That is, they just can't go to sleep until they satisfy their imaginary sin, unless they cause somebody else to fall. And guess who that somebody else is going to be? You. You. They plot your downfall. They plot your downfall into sin. They want to get you involved in their sinful ways. They might even commit sin with you. You become the victim of their lust and their desire. And so, this, of course, this is not a group that you want to walk with. So if you're going to be popular with this group, you got to do what they want. No, you just forget this group and be a loner. Then you move to the third group, which is the worst of all. And this group, evil is seen to be good. And good is seen to be evil. Now this group mocks those who are righteous. And defies God's warnings about sin. They scorn anything associated with God's work. Curse out God. Despise His commandments, mock His ways, joke about God, shakes his fist in God's face, and proclaims allegiance to the forces of the devil. He works to get God set aside, to get His Word set aside, to get God's will set aside. You've got people today in politics doing that. I mean, they are really scornful. They want to shut down everything that's got anything to do with God. They don't even want God mentioned. And they'll go to court and sue you. That's the scornful people. You don't need those kind of people to be popular with. These people actively work to advance the works of darkness on this earth, to legislate that which the Bible condemns. Now, a very obvious reason that you want to avoid these three groups of bad company is that they always demand you're doing what they want in order for you to gain their friendship. You always are going to be required to adopt their way of thinking, accept their course of action, accept their counsel, and agree with them and go along with them if you're going to be a companion of theirs. If you're to be popular, you will have to do exactly as they wish. They will not do as you wish. They're not going to straighten their lives out to have your friendship. They're going to corrupt you or kick you out. Now, whether you recruit them or they recruit you, the same rule applies. You will conform to their standards or else. The else being, they will ridicule you and then they will reject you. There'll be no room in their circle for you unless you conform to their standards. And they will lay the law down to you. This is the way you will do it if you're going to run with us. Well, then just don't run with them, folks. They'll say either become one of us or leave us alone. Well, leave them alone. That's my sermon. The companionship of not one ungodly, not one sinner, and not one scorner is worth the price that you have to pay to join up. Just don't join. They should be viewed as people who have a contagious disease like the plague. Don't even get close enough to their company to get infected, because that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to get infected. And you can't get far enough away from these kind of people as far as God's concerned. I mean, stay clear of them. 2 Corinthians 6:17. Come out from among the unbelievers and be separate, saith the Lord. Come out and be separate. To walk with the Lord, you're not going to be allowed by them to walk with them. Make your choice. Do you want the companionship and popularity of Christ, or do you want the popularity and companionship of the world? You can't have it both ways. You can't. He says, come out from among them and be separate. You avoid them when they draw near, and you avoid the places where they go, and you sure don't go around with them. You don't want to give your spiritual nose any time to adjust to an unhealthy atmosphere. You want to work your way out of the company of anyone who appears to be non-godly, sinful, and scornful just as rapidly as you possibly can, because you are the one that is in immediate danger. They are not. You are. They're not going to get hurt. You are. They're not going to get in trouble. You are. You're the loser. They will not lose. They will not conform to you. They're not going to walk the path of God for your sake. They don't need you. They don't want you. And that's what Jesus is saying about my people the world will hate, but they hated me too. And so bad company is a trap the devil sets to lure the Christians away from their walk and their allegiance to Jesus Christ. Just get them tied up with the wrong crowd, and they'll go the way of the wrong crowd. And the evil that seek out your company under the inspiration of Satan will not rest until they get you to be evil. I want you to understand that. They have a mission in life. Our mission is to make people what? Christ-like. Satan says, I'm going to make my people's mission to make them un-Christ-like. Do you understand that? They have a goal, just as you and I should have a goal. To win the lost and to sanctify the saved. They have a goal. To make the saved sinful. Worthless to God. An embarrassment to God. To corrupt them. That's their goal. Their driving missionary ambition is to make God's people do evil. And they'll not rest until they can either get you to do evil or you leave them alone. We are called to stand separate. even if we have to stand all alone. And Jesus says the loneliness will be worth it all. It's the only way you can stand. So many people make a big mistake here, especially in selecting somebody to be their marriage partner. I mean, folks, you really have to be cautious in this area above all areas. It's picking yourself someone to marry. I know it's hard to find good people who walk with the Lord, but keep looking. You can't step back into the world to find a person that's going to be a compliment and a benefit and a blessing and a help to you in the Christian walk. You have to stay separate from the ungodly, the non-godly, and the sinful and the scornful. It just has to be that way.